Good evening and welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Today, the Prime Minister called Budget 2023 the first budget for Amrit Kal, which left me wondering, what exactly is a budget for Amrit Kal? And that is what we will try and decode over the next 60 minutes. But at first reading, here is what you can say safely. While most people thought that the budget would be one that would focus on elections next year, from all appearances, the government has resisted that temptation. Instead, they have chosen to pump maximum money into projects that will bear fruit much after the Lok Sabha elections of 2024 have come and gone. And that is perhaps what the PM meant when he called it an Amrit Kal budget, which means allotting money to schemes that will lead to overall growth of the country, long-term gains, not just act as vote catchers. Yes, relief has been given to the salaried class, MSMEs and welfare schemes have also been ramped up. But the largest thrust still remains on infrastructure development and upliftment of the most backward and tribals. But naturally, there was criticism, there was discontent, and the maximum critique was on the following counts. First, that the budget has nothing for farmers. Second, that even the tax benefits that are given to the middle class and the salaried are nominal. Third, that while allocation may seem stupendous, the eventual use doesn't really measure up. And finally, the Congress even alleged that the poor had altogether been completely forgotten and sidelined in this budget that is more about Mitra Kal and less about Amrit Kal.
Let me begin by pointing out with regret that the FM has not mentioned the words unemployment, poverty, inequality, or equity anywhere in her speech. Mercifully, she has mentioned the word poor twice in her speech. I'm sure the people of India will take note of who are in the concerns of the government and who are not. Please note that both capital expenditure of the central government and the effective capital expenditure are lower than the budget estimates. So what drove growth in 22-23? We know that private investment is down, exports are down, and private consumption is stagnant. So how does the government explain the 7% growth in the current year? So we already have 9.9% growth in the first half of the year. If the whole year will only yield 7%, does that mean that Q3 and Q4 will record growth rates of only 4 to 4.5%?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Vivek Silas of the Samajwadi Party, national spokesperson, joins us along with Karan Bhasin, leader of the Congress, Sunil Alak, chairman of SKA Advisors, national spokesperson of BJP, Shazia Ilmi. My first question is to you, Karan Bhasin, researcher and economist. Responding to what Jairam Ramesh said, where are the poor? They weren't even mentioned.
Right, but Padmaja, if you're aware of the paper that we co-authored sometime in April of last year, extreme poverty in India is less than 1%. That's a well-accepted fact. So why is it that today's Congress finds it difficult to accept something that has been accepted by a majority of the population of the country, that India does no longer have the same amount of poverty that existed before? If at all, India is now a lower middle income country, which is why the priorities of the government have also changed over a period of time. This is no longer a government that keeps saying Gareebi Hatao, and keep perpetuating the cycle of poverty, which keeps, going on intergenerationally. This is a government that believes in empowering people and bringing them out of poverty.
Kamal Zaman Chaudhary, respond. You keep going on about the poor, but it is the middle class which now needs to be the focus of the budget, and that's why we have seen relief for the salaried class. What's the problem?
Padmaja, the one that you are quoting about the relief to the middle class, I believe you are hinting at the 7 lakh exemption limit that you have given out here. But then, once the finance minister today announced the 7 lakhs exemption at the fag end of our budget, immediately the stock market ran up 2,000 points. The Sensex went up. Now, after that, we go into an introspection, and suddenly the realization comes that this is just a jumla. 7 lakhs rupees, and the stock market crashed once again by 2,000 points. This sums up the entire thing. Now, the
No,
gentleman
it doesn't
just
sum up nothing. So you're saying the stock market went down, hence it is a jumla. How is it exactly?
Because I am not an economist out here to defend this stock market up and down.
But if you're not an economist, how did you make that correlation? That Sensex went down, hence the tax exemption is a jumla.
And
Padmaja, you all know, you, me, please. You,
No, sir, I do not claim to know. I know nothing. But I genuinely do want to know how you made this correlation.
Padmaja, you have got a savings in LIC and XYZ, which we claim exemptions, even I do. Now, you bring a new regime, bypassing, disincentivize the old regime and bring in the new regime. Now, what happens is that it brings out the savings of the people into cash in the hands of the public. Now, ultimately, what is the government intending to do out here? Bring out the cash reserves, the savings of the people of this country, the middle class, into the economy. Into the economy means into the hands of the government. The public does not have any savings left. This is
You know, I have to confess, I am really bad at taxes and finance, but that sounds a little far-fetched even to me. But let Karan Bhasin answer that.
No, I am not finished yet, Padmaja, if you permit me.
No, just on that specific 2 points that you have raised, let Karan Bhasin answer. The crashing of the Sensex, or the going down of the stock exchange. And second, saying that the government, by giving this tax relief, is taking our savings away. Karan Bhasin?
2 points very quickly. If today the Federal Reserve decides not to increase interest rates, tomorrow Sensex will go up. And then you can say that it is because of the budget that the Sensex has gone up. Sensex does not depend only on the budget, but depends on a variety of factors. So do not kind of, simplify the analysis. If you do not know, then do not make a claim that you cannot defend. And second point on the savings business, well, there are 2 tax regimes. The second or the new tax regime was introduced largely because the old savings schemes do not benefit the middle class as much as they should. They give a high interest rate, not really high compared to what they would get in markets and in other investment instruments. So the government felt that it should not distort the incentives for savings and allow people to choose best financial instrument available for their...
Mr. Bhasin, you failed to say, just a minute, Padmaja, you failed to say that the new tax regime has become the default regime. That's why I said that the old regime has been disincentivized.
How has it become the default regime?
It is the default regime, you can find out.
If you benefit from the old regime, to stay in the old regime, if you want to move to the new...
Padmaja, that's one part of the debate, but the most important part that I want to bring out here is what the Amrit Kal budget has done to the Gareeb, जो अपना किसान है, मजदूर है, यहाँ के देश के, they have been turned into Gareeb ka Kal. This budget has in fact
Would
made
you
them...
care to finish some facts to bolster that claim, or we're just going to bandy words about?
Yes. Now you come to some very important issues out here. The Prime Minister has all along been hampering upon the minimum support price for the Kisan, that it will be 1.5 times of this. Last budget, it was introduced, the PSS-MIS, that is the price support and the market intervention scheme. Budgetary support last year was 1,500 crores. Now this year it has come to 0.1 crore. That is the entire scheme has been wiped out. PM Asha for ensuring minimum support price. The last year budgetary allocation was 1 CR. This year it has been completely wiped out. Apart from this, the entire agricultural sector, the provisions that have been made out here is there in the new farm laws that were supposed to be introduced and which were withdrawn, has been brought in through the back door in this budget. So this is a serious concern that is there. Second most important point, Padmaja, if you permit me, the budget has made a very astounding outlays for the infrastructure sector. That
okay,
is
so before we come to infrastructure, let Sunil Alag respond to this. Like the Congress said, ये मित्र काल है क्योंकि सिर्फ मित्र खुश हैं, किसानों को कुछ नहीं मिला. Nothing for farmers. Sunil Alag, what do you think?
No, I think whatever back door, front door, I have no idea because I'm not part of any political party. I'm looking at it from the point of view of the industry and as an economist. See, the three things which are inflation, macroeconomic volatility, and geopolitical conflict. These are the three risks that he had. Now the question is that if you can carry on having names and all that, what they've done with the income slabs is that, look, gradually all over the world, this has just begun for 1 year. Do not think that this is going to remain forever. What they want to remove is all kinds of whatever supplements that they give all over the world now. You increase the salaries and there's one straight tax. They've simplified it to that extent. It's up to us to say we want this, we want that. And the older guys, if at my age, might want to keep on to the old one, or the younger people are very happy with the new system. So therefore, there's understanding on that. Secondly, what he has said is that, look, whether the Sensex goes up or down, look, there was a lot of profit taking. Are you aware of that? That, look, in the afternoon, there was always profit taking. When the profit goes up, then everybody profit takes and then you come out again. Tomorrow, you will see the Sensex will go up again. So it's a question of saying that, look, if you don't know what happens in the market, as Padmaja has said, don't make a statement that, look, the Sensex has gone up and down. There was a lot of profit taking in the afternoon when it went up and then it went down again after that. So FDI, they've attracted. So look, when you say there's no words used, there's no poverty used, there's no inflation used, why do you need to use the words at all? Look, if you're spending on infrastructure, I went to the south, Madurai and all, which has got nothing to do with BJP. The national highway which has been created is 3 lanes, 4 lanes of solid roads. Who's building it? There's employment going on. Look, come to Bombay and you will see there's employment on either side. When they build a sea link, when they build anything, people are getting employed. Therefore, spending on infrastructure, which has been increased, is leading to unemployment. They don't have to say that, look, by spending on infrastructure, I'm helping the economy, I'm helping employment.
And if
look,
I may add, Mr. Alag, two more things. So when people say... So when people say the word poor, poverty eradication is not mentioned, two schemes where the outlay has been increased. One is the Awas Yojana and the second is Swachh Bharat. Now when that toilet is made and that house is given, it is certainly not Mr. Adani or Mr. Ambani who's going to get them. It is the very poor whose mention you find missing who is going to get those houses. Monojit Mandal. So that's as far as the poverty argument goes. Now what's the next argument?
Look, I mean, I don't know what the next argument is for him to say, because we can respond to his arguments. Look, at this point of time, the budget has been made for 18 months minimum. That means it's made from this Feb all the way up to August after the election. It's not a 12-month budget. Therefore, they will spend the money. And all spending, all inflation on agriculture. When does inflation go up? Look at what is happening in UK, 12%, double digits. हम लोग तो अभी 6% पे हैं, 7% पे हैं on inflation. So we are not alone in this world. If you think that only West Bengal exists or only Punjab exists or only UP exists, is pointless. It's all India that Modi is thinking of, the government is thinking of. Look, he's spending money on education. Then look, there is a big gap. When Industrial Revolution took place, there was a lot of loss of labor because machines came in. Today, AI is taking over. There will be a gap when will be for 2 or 3 months, and therefore he set up skilling colleges.
In fact,
He's
here's the thing.
To industry and saying, look, we got to set up skilled labor now.
Here's the thing that you have got. The opposition yesterday was angry, Mr. Mandal, when they said that this is going to be like a manifesto. It is only about Modi trying to get people to vote for him. You should actually be happy, because who knows if in 2024 you become in government, you become the Prime Minister. There are schemes which have got maximum outlay, like the railways, airports, highways. Unka fita to aap katenge, sir. This is not even Modi who's doing things so that he can become Prime Minister. He will leave plenty of money for schemes that you can cut the ribbon for, Professor Mandal.
And what are there for the poor? What are there for Manrega? You have substantially reduced the fund for Manrega, 60,000 crores, lowest in the last 5-6 years.
Sir, with the
And
greatest
what
of
about the
respect,
agricultural
you
farmers?
do know that it is
Nothing.
also the poor
The
who
IT
travel
no.
in the railways.
IT, AI,
it is the
these
poor
things-
who will be on highways.
these things-
I will give you an example. There was a time where people in Agra,
that
in
the poor
Meerut, and
will
I'm giving you an
travel on the
example from
rail,
our
but the
neighborhood,
poor will not get
had
job
to
in the
look for
rail,
jobs
right?
in Meerut and Agra, which were very scarce. Now they can work in private industry in Noida. Why? Because there is an expressway that connects Meerut and Agra,
Now,
and they can come to Noida within an hour and a half. That is how the poor benefit from infrastructure, Professor Mandal.
So that's this way of saying, the roundabout way of saying, this is the way the poor benefits. Roads were there earlier as well. Infrastructure, connectivity, they were there earlier as well.
No,
the
sir,
poor
there
did
wasn't.
not benefit.
I can tell you very
If you go
confidently,
through the
because if
budget-
there's one state I
Yes,
do know, it is Uttar
yes,
Pradesh,
there-
and
oh,
I have
that
travelled
means-
across it. No, it
in
wasn't
that
there.
case,
It
no,
wasn't.
in that case,
So I want to.
yeah. So if I take your, now, let me speak. I mean, if everything is there in the budget, why are you so rattled? Let us speak.
Go on.
The opposition, if opposition has nothing to speak, then why are you scared?
No,
Let us
why
speak.
should I be scared, sir? Go on.
No, if I take your argument for a second, it means if I take your argument for a second, it means there was no connectivity in this country built by this government in the last 8-9 years. Is that so? I mean, these
Professor
roads have
Mandal,
been there for the
with
last
the greatest
20,
of respect,
20
I have travelled in West Bengal
We
as
know
well.
that this was in-
I would urge you to travel, say, in Uttar Pradesh, in Gujarat. I am pretty certain you would find a marked difference.
No, with the greatest of respect, I appeal to you to speak the truth about roads in Bengal, especially the state highways. Look at the roads. I mean, where you used to have, dead bodies 10-12 years back in the area called Bankura, Jangal Mahal, Maoist infested area. Go through that areas and see how people are smiling there. It's because of Mamta Di. Go to North Bengal, go to Darjeeling, see the roads, people are smiling because of Mamta Di.
So people
we
are
have
smiling
to roll
because
our
they are
own
getting
money.
roads.
The
You are
government
accepting that poor people smile when they get roads. So here is Mr. Modi giving poor people roads so that they can smile. Hence your question is answered. You yourself are saying that poor people smile when they get roads. But the specific question, and answer this, Shazia Ilmi, why has the Manrega outlay been reduced? It is a very specific charge.
Okay, so yeah, so please give me 30 seconds, Padmaja, if you can, please. First of all, being called a budget of not Amritkal but Mitrakal, I would like to say yes, indeed, this is a budget of both Amritkal and Mitrakal, because this government is a Mitra and the real friend of the very poor, of those who are disenfranchised, who live on the margins, and it believes in reaching out to the last person in the queue. Having said that, let me tell you, Mr. Mandal, that is not about the use of the word poor or middle class or the categories. There is a whole recalibration and reconditioning and rehauling of the way we look at our economy. When you talk about a reduction of the budget allocation for Manrega, you must realize that this is a budgetary estimate as opposed to what the RE would be. And the budget for the Awas Yojana and the infra spending and the overall capital outlay is so much more, which automatically means that there would be more growth, more jobs, when it comes to skill enhancement, when it comes to 20 lakh crores of loans being given, credit to farmers. It just goes on to say that this is a commitment to the people who need it the most at this point of time, which has been done most prudently. Also, you know very well that job creation is not giving the sarkari jobs, but increasing employability, making sure there is enough movement in the economy, roads and highways and new airports and new nursing homes and new hospitals and schools. And not just that, Awas Yojana, which has gone up to 66%. Do you know how much that has gone? And how do you think that will happen? How do you think that boost will happen? Anybody who knows very basic economics will know this, that the more you revamp and boost spending and get that economy going, that's the best way to sustain and create jobs.
Okay, so
and
essentially
also,
this wisdom is summed up in that old saying, Vivek Silas, that instead of giving a man a fish, it's better to teach him how to fish. Essentially, instead of saying कि हमने आपका 20,000 रुपया महीना आपकी जेब में डाल दिया, सरकार कह रही है कि हम आपके लिए ऐसी परिस्थिति क्रिएट करेंगे कि आप खुद 20,000 कमा पाएंगे. आप अपने स्कूटर पे बैठ करके मेरठ से, आगरा से नोएडा आएंगे और खुद 20,000 रुपए महीना कमाएंगे. दैट इज द लॉजिक.
Yes, very good evening to you, Padmaja ji. You just talked about that poor are benefiting from the infrastructure. You know. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go on.
Yeah. You said that the poor are benefiting from the infrastructure. If you come down from Meerut to Noida, it's just 1.5 hours. I agree to that. But I will very humbly and benevolently invite you to Lucknow. Come with me to Lucknow when we travel to Delhi. One side toll is about 1,200 rupees for a vehicle, one way. Next, the diesel and petrol prices have shot up like hell. Third, you know that road tax which the government is taking is exorbitant. So you cannot say justify the fact if you are building the infrastructure, you are just taking out from the pockets of the poor and the middle class, even the higher class.
It's going to be continued.
One at a time, please. One at a time. He's just had his chance. Let him speak his mind, please, Shazia Almi. Then you'll respond.
Yes,
Go
yes,
on.
Sir. Shazia ji, please. I never said. We talk about 3 F's today, Padmaja ji. Fuel, food and fertilizer. As far as fuel is concerned, there was not a word from the Honorable Finance Minister about fuel price hike, not a word. Food subsidies, that's the another F, it's been cut down by 27%, and fertilizer is cut down by 25%. We talked about the poorest of the poor, as you said in the beginning of your show. Manrega is the jobs for the poorest of poor. From 68,000 crores, it has come down to the lowest for 60,000 crores. Actually, Padmaji, I'll tell you, this budget is a prank for the people of India. It's just a prank by the Bharatiya Janata Party. False promises and fake speeches won't help India. When in 2014 and 15, Prime Minister Modi presented the first budget, actually the debts on India, the loan on India was 55,000 crore rupees. But today, if you see, it has gone up to 1,55,000 crore rupees. I agree that GDP is rising. But if you see the proportion...
India is the fastest growing economy. We are looking at becoming from a developing country to a developed nation.
Okay, let's talk about specifics. Sir, you spoke of multiple points on the issue of how the farmers haven't been spoken of. Here is what the government has said. It has increased spending in the farm sector. The budget proposes to spend about 22 billion rupees on high-value horticulture. And also, so let me just, because you said farmers haven't been mentioned, high-value horticulture and agriculture accelerator fund and farm startups are going to be benefited, and this time it is more targeted. So you've got farmers who are in fish farming, organic farming. Those are targeted benefits that are being given. The second point that you raised is what I want to bring in Karan Bhasin on. Let's talk about facts. Okay, instead of just Viksit Bharat, Shining India, let's talk about facts. Agriculture, this is what the government has spoken of very specifically. But Karan Bhasin, when Mr. Silas says you are robbing Peter to pay Paul, you are saying वाह 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 गरीब के लिए तो देखो हमने सड़कें बना दी, हमने ये फंड बना दिया, पर वो गरीब का आपने पेट्रोल डीजल महंगा कर दिया, आप उनसे इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस ले रहे हैं, आप उनसे टोल ले रहे हैं. What of that?
So I want to make a few quick points because this Manrega issue keeps coming up, and then I will address the specific question.
ट्रैक्टर को तो छोड़ देते, ट्रैक्टर को भी नहीं छोड़ा.
अरे आप सुनिए तो सही सर, आप कह रहे हैं मनरेगा का एलोकेशन बंद हुआ. आपको पता है मनरेगा इज एन अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट इंश्योरेंस स्कीम. जब आप पैंडेमिक के टाइम पे मैसिव अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट एकदम से बढ़ गया था बिकॉज ऑफ लॉकडाउन, तब आपने वो इंक्रीज करा था, तब आपने फूड सब्सिडी बढ़ाई थी. तब आप नहीं, टोल पे भी बात करेंगे ना. आप अभी सुनिए, आप सुनने की क्षमता तो रखिए. अब जब अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट कम हो गया, लोग कम अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट डिमांड कर रहे हैं, बट नेचुरली मनरेगा का एलोकेशन कम होगा, and it is a guarantee that the government gives. So if God forbid tomorrow rural people do demand jobs, Manrega allocation would be revised upwards. So do not, keep saying कि Manrega का allocation कम हो गया, because that's a very bad argument that you're making. The other gentleman also talked about price support funds for farmers कि उनको लो कर दिया गया. But the fact is that पहले prices of commodities, particularly agriculture, was below the MSP, which is why government had to bridge the gap. Now prices are above MSP. तो गवर्नमेंट नो लॉन्गर नीड्स टू ब्रिज दैट गैप. ये यहाँ पे कोई नहीं बताएगा, क्योंकि ये बहुत कन्वीनियंट चीजें जो इमीडिएटली भूल जाते हैं, शायद इनको पता भी नहीं है. तीसरी चीजें बात कर रहे थे कि फर्टिलाइजर्स की बात नहीं करी. कमोडिटी इन्फ्लेशन की साइकिल भी वीक हो रही है, इसलिए फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडी का बिल भी धीरे धीरे गवर्नमेंट का कम हो रहा है. इनफैक्ट आप फ्यूल की बात कर रहे हैं, इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में क्रूड ऑयल की मूवमेंट्स धीरे धीरे कम होती जा रही है, एंड वो एज एंड व्हेन इंटरनेशनल प्राइसेस कम हो रहे हैं, वैसे वैसे कंज्यूमर्स के लिए भी प्राइसेस कम हो रहे हैं. एंड फॉर द जेंटलमैन फ्रॉम वेस्ट बंगाल हु वाज वंडरिंग हाउ रोड्स विल बेनिफिट, there was a saying, since I'm in New York, I would like to cite this saying. There's a saying in the US that America builds roads and America is built by roads. Today I can say in 21st century, India is building roads, metro, ships, airports, and India is being built by roads, metro, ships and airports. And इससे आपको दिक्कत क्यों है, मेरे को ये नहीं समझ आ रही. As far as tolls are concerned, हमारी हाईवे कंस्ट्रक्शन की जो पेस है per day, that has gone up many times. उसके लिए पैसे चाहिए होते, सिर्फ डायरेक्ट एंड इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस से पैसे जनरेट.
प्रोफेसर मंडल, यस, ओके, रिस्पॉन्ड.
जीएसटी का जो स्ट्रक्चर है, तो आप प्रोग्रेसिविटी.
Can I speak now, sir?
Yes, go on, Professor Mandal.
It's such an irony that when I speak, you are talking about connectivity. So it's such an irony when I was speaking about connectivity and my line got disconnected. This world of 5G, high class technology that you are talking about. Even from one of the metro cities, you are not getting connected properly with your studio. That's besides the point. Now you're talking about the poor.
But aren't you in West Bengal?
Indirectly trying to benefit them.
Are you saying connectivity is bad
What
there?
about, yeah. No, this telephone, I think business is manned by the central government as far as
okay, anyway, go on. Yes.
It's got nothing to do with the state government, right? So, Padmaja, yeah. So, you talking about the poor. They will, go use the roads and railways and so on and so forth. Forget about, and then what about, you are also talking about the agricultural people, the people who are having more than 20 acres of land. In this country, you and I know, over 80% of the farmers have below 10 acres of land. You are just talking about the startups for agricultural people. Only for the big farmers, just 20% of the farmers. Take statistic, 80%, over 80% of the farmers have only 10 acres of land. They just barely survive on that 10 acres of land. Come to one of the major issues, personally I come from, education. Not a single word on education. You have an education policy 2 years back, new education policy, very ambitious. Nothing in the budget, no increase. Just around 4% or something like that. You want to have good schools with 3 language policies, but no teachers. The teachers will be very difficult to come by because no budget is there. Higher education, you have abolished certain courses, and I give an example, Padmaja, since I come from this. You have abolished a course that's between masters and PhD called MPhil, but no incentive to increase seats for PhD studies. What will the students, lakhs of students will do once they complete their masters because of abolition of these particular courses? Nothing in the budget. No incentive.
I'm not certain we had resolved the issue of whether it is anti-farmer and anti-poor and anti-people living in villages. But now we've gone to education. I suspect we need a longer conversation about the specifics of each of the sectors. Unfortunately, right now, I'm a little out of time because I'm already being joined by Mr. Gajendra Shekhawat, who's the Jal Shakti Minister. So I'll have to thank all gentlemen and Shazia Ilmi